Welcome to Memorial Day edition of Negro Please. Shout out to all the military. I know it's not Veterans Day; it's Memorial Day, but shout out to all the people who have had family members serve in the military for us and give us our freedom that's not necessarily free. It's funny. I've seen like 5 memes today that that say when Memorial Day started and how it started. And then I had to Google, and none of them were right. People just sharing memes. They're like, "Hey, this is why we celebrate Memorial Day." No, not one of them was correct. That was first. It was started by black guys, and this year it was started by these guys, and this year, no, nobody knows. Apparently, they just be sharing memes. We've talked about this a lot before. Learn how to Google. It's great. You can learn a lot of stuff on Google. We're late today, and it's my fault because I had to get a massage, and I was.
Oh, man, sometimes you need to get rubbed down. You
know? There's so much to talk about this week. The story we're going to talk about first. I'm going to say it's my favorite story, but it's a sad story. It's a really sad story, but the reason it's my favorite story is because I feel like I've seen this movie. I'm talking about Breonna Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Breonna Taylor is at home sleeping. 3 guys kick in the door to her house. They come in. Her boyfriend thinks they're being robbed, pulls out a gun, starts shooting people.
Right.
They shoot back. She gets shot 8 times while she sleeps. She dies. They find out that the 3 men who kicked in the door were police officers. It's a no-knock warrant. They never identified themselves when they came in the house. That's why the boyfriend started shooting. This is where the story gets, as if that itself isn't crazy, right? Here's where it gets crazier. It gets crazy. There's so many spots where it gets crazy. I don't even know where to start. Let's start with the person that they were serving the warrant on. A, didn't live there, and right. B, was already in police custody.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
Okay.
That I think that's a part of the story a lot of people don't know. Like, people see that everybody, like, the first story was like they went to the wrong house or the wrong address. It was the right address. So the police, the information the police had was correct as far as, let's say it was 123 Alphabet Drive. Right. They went to 123 Alphabet Drive. They didn't go to 456 Meadows Lane. You know what I mean? Right. They went to the right house that they were supposed to go to, but the person didn't live there though, or he wasn't there.
Right.
Or from my understanding, he didn't live there at all.
Right. He didn't live. So then we find out that he's already in jail. Like, I don't even know. Like, there's no checks and balances system here. Like, before you don't type in the name before you go serve a warrant just to make sure that warrant is still valid, or so and so is in custody.
Right.
The boyfriend or fiance who shot at the police officers, not knowing they were police officers, was arrested for attempted murder of a police officer. The charges against him have been dropped. Because there's a whole lot of stuff going on with this. This was in Louisville, Kentucky, by the way.
Right.
The Louisville chief of police, he resigned this week, or retired, whichever way, because the backlash over this. They dismissed the attempted murder charges against the police officer because the cop they said he shot was shot by the other cops and not by him.
Wow.
They recover bullets, do from the vest or whatever.
Right.
And they're doing the forensic stuff on it.
Right.
And they find out that it was friendly fire.
Yeah. Look at
3 cops walk into a house. They shoot one person dead, then they shoot another cop. You can't make this up. This is a movie. I've seen this movie, right?
Yeah.
This is the movie. And she's an EMT, by the way, right?
Yeah.
I've seen this movie. If I haven't seen it, I'm writing the script now. I'm writing a script about an EMT who sees bad cops do something. Mm-hmm. They're afraid she's going to tell. So they're going to go serve a warrant, you know, because they want to shut her up because they're afraid she's going to talk. I'm not saying this is true. This is just the movie I see in my head. Now, when the two bad cops got to go serve the warrant, you know, there's always that one good cop that they, so they shoot him and then blame it on them in the house. I've seen this movie before. Like, this actually happened in Louisville.
In real life.
The bullets that they like 3 cops. It wasn't like there was 20 cops in there exchanging. 3 cops. The bullets weren't from the bad guy. The bullets were from the other cops.
I mean, think about this. You're a cop, and you're serving a warrant, and in their mind, this is so high risk that they basically go in the middle of the night shooting. Right? You're one of these cops, and the cop that's supposed to have your back, the guy you trust with your life, is the one who actually shoots you.
Not the guy you think is the bad guy.
Not the bad guy.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And he's not the bad guy.
He's not even a bad guy in a sense. You know what I mean? He's just a normal guy defending himself.
He thinks he's being robbed. People, you know, home invasion. He fires.
What do you do?
Would you do that, Steve? I know you.
Of course.
Of course. Steve is unloading and reaching for more clips and more guns.
Bro, like, look. Like, here's the difference. Like, unless the way my strategy is set up, the way my house is set up, the way that I move, the story is I'm probably going to jail for murder of 3 cops because they broke into my house. You know what I mean? Like, that's me. Like, that's how I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Like, in the middle of the night, my thought is I'm not a criminal. I'm not expecting police to come to my house at any time of day. A cop came to my house a few months ago because somebody stole a car and parked it across the street. 3 years, first time I ever seen a cop in my neighborhood. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I live in a decent, quiet neighborhood, right? When he knocks on when he comes up to the door, I actually had the garage open, and I see him coming up. I was in the house, but I had all the doors open. And when he comes up, I just go out to meet him because I'm thinking, why are you at my house? You know? And whatever problem you have, if you have a problem with me, we're going to handle it in the driveway, not in my house. You know what I mean? But if this is 2 o'clock,
you have kids in your house too.
And I have kids, right? So, and this is 2 o'clock in the morning. So,
it was
no, not my incident. My incident was like at 6 in the evening.
Okay.
But I'm saying, like, in this incident with Breonna Taylor, I'm thinking at 2 in the morning, I hear my door being kicked in, or the gate rattling, or something that sounds like somebody's coming in my house. Unless you're shouting, "This is the police," before you're coming in, you're getting shot when you get in.
I feel like, I honestly feel at 2 o'clock in the morning, you come in my house, you're getting shot, even if you are yelling at the police.
Because
I'm supposed to believe you.
Is how do I believe that you're the police?
Especially when I can't see you on the other side of that wall.
That's the problem with no-knock warrants. That could be anybody who just come and kicking in my door.
It's the police,
Because when they're delivering a no-knock warrant, they're generally not announcing themselves either way. They just kick in the door and they come in. That's the whole point of it. That's like, if you're not going to knock, you're not going to say who you are. You know what I mean? And since I'm not a criminal, you're probably going to get shot. And this is the problem. Like, there needs to be laws to protect people.
They're working on laws to remove no-knock warrants. Because of stuff like this. Is not the first time something like this has happened. This is not the first time the police have gone to a house and it's the wrong house and somebody's been shot and killed. Sometimes there's been some incidences in California where it was a child, you know, because the kid comes up and scares a cop who's got his gun out and he's fired because he doesn't know, he's reacting and not, you know, taking the time to look. So I just, like, you really couldn't have wrote this script better for a movie.
No.
Like, and I mean, she's an EMT. Maybe, I don't know if she knew these cops or not. I'm curious to know that. Because EMTs and police officers and emergency room personnel, they cross paths a lot. There's so much wrong with this, and then the FBI is actually taking over the investigation. Which they should, because you're talking about sleeping though, right? Like nobody expects to get shot while they're sleeping, right?
I mean, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. What are you supposed to be doing? You know what I mean? Like the odd thing is, I might be up. You know what I mean? I'm up. I have no real sleep schedule. You know what I mean? So I might be up all night and sleep at noon. You know what I mean? It just depends on what I got going on. But for most people, at night, you're asleep and somebody kicks in the door, you're awakened by the sound of the door being kicked in. So, of course, if you have someone you care about, even if it's just you at home alone, your first thought is, oh, I have to protect myself. Something has happened. You know what I mean? Like nobody hears a door kicked in at 2 or 3 in the morning and goes, oh, my door just came crashing in. Let me go check and see what happened.
I don't understand.
Like, who does that?
I don't understand how you shoot somebody who's sleeping 8 times. Like, I want to talk to these cops because I want to know, like, did you walk into the room and then they were like rolled over in their sleep so you thought they were reaching? Like,
why is it in most of these police shootings, there are so many shots being fired?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the cops in Chicago a few years ago, the kid's name is slipping my mind right now, but they shot this kid 14 times.
Yeah.
He basically unloads a whole magazine into this kid and then reloads. He unloads a magazine, and the other cops there that you can see on a dash cam, they're just standing there looking, and then they start to pull their guns out toward the end of the video because this other cop is shooting. But you shoot 14 times. You know, you remember the guy in New York that got shot like 41 times.
Right.
You know what I mean? And obviously you got like 6 cops standing around. So they all fire multiple shots, but
so you are trained shoot to kill, right? If it takes you 14 shots to shoot to kill, you probably shouldn't be a police officer.
Well, the training should be it's basically like shoot to stop.
Right.
You're supposed to fire a couple rounds and then assess, see what has happened, and then fire again if you have to.
And there are times when people are out on drugs and something, and one shot, 2 shots aren't going to stop them.
There are times where I can expect, if you're a cop and the person you're shooting at is a big person, you're going to fire more than 2 or 3 shots.
Right.
I get it. But not even so much of the number of shots. It's just, if this person was asleep, how do you justify anything? How is that not the murder that how are these cops not the ones being charged with murder, but the guy who jumped out of his bed is the one who was charged with murder? And now, in this whole like fuzzy situation,
are being charged now. They have filed charges against them.
Good. Because that's what should have happened up front.
Yes. If you're the cop that gets shot by friendly fire, what are you thinking?
I mean,
like these
should you be charging your partners with should they be charged with attempted murder
of a police officer
for shooting you? Right. You know what I mean? Like, because if I did it, I'm going to jail.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The 3 of us are cops. We walk in, we go busting in. You and I just start shooting, and we shoot Quan in his back 3 times or in his vest 3 times. Like,
yeah,
it's because I'm white.
Well,
I, as God is my witness, I actually picked you to be the one to get shot because you were white. That is as God is my witness. I did that. That is 100% why I said you were the one who's going to get shot. Because we know what happens if we get shot.
But the funny thing is like, okay, so I can carry concealed. I can carry a weapon pretty much anywhere in the state and other states, a few other states, not every state, but. So the amount of training that I have to go through to be able to carry a weapon is a lot less than just basic police boot camp training, right? Police academy training.
Right.
However,
I mean, if you live in Virginia, all you got to do is take an online course.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's even less,
for $15.
Right, even less training,
and
right?
It's good in like 28 states. Your conceal is good in like 28 states.
So this is the thing I'll never understand. Police, with all of their training, they get a huge amount of leniency when they shoot somebody or accidentally shoot somebody or have a mistake or a discharge with a firearm or anything like that. Me, where in the state of Nevada, you just have to take, I believe it's like 8 or 12-hour class, and you can get your CCW. So a ton less training than the police get. But if I make the same mistake a police makes, I'm going to jail. Why is that?
Because you don't have a badge. I mean, there's
the
no
obvious
other.
answer,
I mean,
right?
I mean, there's no other answer
the only
for
one.
it. Right.
And the thing that bothers me is when people
you
blindly
are expected to be patient and wait and assess a situation,
right?
But they are not.
Exactly. And people will blindly support the police who make these mistakes. But if I do it,
you deserve to go to jail.
Yeah. Or they're just silent.
Oh, because there were people who thought that her boyfriend or fiance should be in prison.
Oh yeah.
There's still people claiming he shouldn't have shot at the police. He didn't know they were police.
Exactly.
He broke into his house.
Exactly. But they don't hear that side of the story. They
Right.
see a black guy.
Right.
Because if this was a white guy, it's like, oh, it's a Second Amendment right.
I could not find any pictures of the cops because I want to know if they're black or white. I couldn't find any pictures of them online. They're like, I don't want to give their names because I just don't believe in giving people publicity that don't deserve publicity.
No.
But this next guy, first of all, if you haven't already, go to our YouTube page, subscribe. Go to our Facebook and Instagram. It's all the Negro Please. Subscribe, share, like us. Thank you. If you're watching this now, please share. I'm giving this guy a little bit of, because I got to say his name because of the story. Mm-hmm. His name is William Roddy Bryan Jr. 2 weeks ago, this guy was crying on TV because people were threatening his life, and he just didn't understand it. William Roddy Bryan Jr. is the man who recorded the fatal shooting of Ahmaud Arbery. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that was trying to block Ahmaud in the back, so if he tried to turn around and backtrack, he would be boxed in. And he recorded the video. And then we don't know who gave the video to the attorney, right? Like I can't find anything on that. Somebody gave this video to an attorney, and the attorney was like, we need to make this public. The world needs to know about this.
I think he had sent it to other people, kind of showing what he did. Like, look what happened.
Right.
And so
somebody
it might be unknown. It might be one of those like witness protection type things.
Right. So, I mean, we saw pictures of Mr. McMichael's with the KKK at a KKK rally.
Yeah.
If you're a police officer or anything to do with the court system, the last place you should ever be is at a KKK rally or even if it's you shouldn't be at a Black Panther rally. Like, you should not be at any of these places because it's never going to be good, right? Because you're going to do something later and it's going to be like, see, he's a black cop, he killed that white guy, he's militant black, he was at the Black Panther meeting. Or, hey, this white guy was at the KKK meeting and then he shot a black guy. There's no winning in this situation ever.
Exactly.
This guy was on TV with his wife or girlfriend, whoever she was, crying because he didn't understand why people were threatening him. You're responsible for the death of a kid that didn't even make it to 26 years old.
This is how delusional these racist people are, and it's little things like this that up front I kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, maybe he wasn't racist, maybe he was just an overzealous neighborhood watch kind of person, whatever, right? I try to give that benefit of the doubt before I jump to the racist part. But there are certain characteristics racist people have. And that is when they commit their racist crimes, they always have this defense of, what did I actually do wrong? What's the problem?
I mean,
I didn't know I couldn't do that.
I can't. You sent me a video the other day too, because people are like, I'm trying to think of your words. I'd have to look up the email you sent or the text you sent me. But there's a video. On the video, it shows that Ahmaud Arbery was running.
Yeah.
For over 4 minutes.
4 minutes he was running for his life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people were like, well, why did he do this? Why did he already ran at some point? Yeah. Like,
you out of gas.
Right.
I mean, he was already out jogging, right?
Right.
So it's not like he just popped up out of the bed, ate a good breakfast, and his stamina was at 100%. He's already out doing whatever before these guys come, okay?
But the mental part of it, like when you're working out, there's the mental and the physical, right?
Right.
There's got to be a part of you when you're running and you know these people are chasing you, that your mind is now taking a toll on your body.
Yeah.
Because you can't do both things, right? You can't be running worried about your life and still trying to run at the same time.
Right.
Like, because it's going to make you more tired. Your breathing is going to be heavier. You're going to have that mental tiredness, that mental wear out on top of the physical wear out.
Right.
At some point, you're going to have to stop.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I've been jumped before, right? I've fought multiple people. And when the fight was about to start, my first instinct was, I can't beat up 3 people. Run. Right? So I ran. But then guess what happens? You get tired or they get close enough. At some point, unless I make it all the way to safety, then it's like, you know what? I have to fight.
I have to fight.
And I realized this before I ran completely out of gas because I was like, I'm going to need some sort of stamina to fight here, right? I can't imagine this situation being any different where for 4 minutes, this man is running for his life. And at some point, he has to decide, you know what? I can't outrun vehicles. It's two cars chasing me. You know what I mean?
Right.
At some point, what can I do? And I don't know if he stops and then they stop, or if it's because they actually cut him off and drove in front of him. And you see in the video the part where they kind of cut him off,
right?
And then he runs around the vehicle and the guy gets out. And what's he supposed to do at that point? They've already been chasing him. So I don't understand the critics who are like, oh, he should have ran. Oh, he should have did this. He did all of that.
He should have complied.
He should have, complied with
who? That's the one that just gets me. Like, first of all, like, there's this thing that police have this ultimate authority, and they don't. Like, if I'm walking down the street minding my own business,
right,
I don't have to comply with your order. If you're
right.
if you're not stopping me for committing a crime, you have no rights over me. You like
right, exactly.
Like I'm allowed to walk the street or mind my business and go on about my life without you harassing me or interfering with me.
Right.
I don't. If you say stop, I don't have to stop. If I'm not doing anything.
But understand this: these are not active duty police officers.
That was my second point.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
and that's what the police. You don't have to do that. So now you're talking about just people, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't know that this dude, maybe he does know the guy used to be a cop. I don't know. But so now two people just stop you with guns out and you're just supposed to comply with their orders?
Right. Yeah. Just guys roll up in the truck and they're like, you stop, get on the ground, freeze. Like, and you're just supposed to go, okay. Why? I mean, why?
What did I do?
Exactly.
Who the hell are you?
And these are the same people who, when you say this, they go, well, why? Well, he should have ran then. He did. Like this is what I'm saying. Like the argument always flip flops, and when the victim is black, the victim always gets blamed. They always look up his history. They always are like, oh, here's what he did. Right?
They're doing that. They're doing that.
And they found a video of like Ahmaud Arbery being pulled over by a cop or something, and the cop was asking him a whole bunch of questions for no reason at all.
But notice that he was compliant in that video.
And he complied the entire time.
He did not raise his voice. He did not get live with the cop. He kept his composure and just answered all the questions and did all the things we're supposed to do.
Right.
But all of a sudden, they're trying to make him this bad guy. There's actually, on one of those posts, this young lady wrote, I'm tired of, it was a young white girl, and she was like, I'm tired of you guys talking bad about Ahmaud Arbery. This guy saved my life. Actually, let me see if I can find her quote real quick. Let me give me 1 second.
No problem.
I didn't think we were going to get into this.
Yeah,
but I want to see if I can find the quote. So I can. I don't want to misquote her because she.
Yeah, these. In this video,
I can't find it. I know I have it. So essentially, what she was saying is that I want to say that she was just in a bad place, like a dark place, and he essentially talked her down. Like she wanted to kill herself, and he essentially talked her down, got her some help, and then from time to time he would still call and be like, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay? Do you need anything?
Yeah.
Can I buy you some groceries?" Like,
right.
Like, and she's like, you guys keep try to portray this kid as this bad kid who's never been in trouble, by the way.
Yeah.
But he really saved my life. Like, and she's like, she missed the fact that he's not going to call her anymore and be like, "Hey, how you doing?" Right. She's like, she wishes she could call him now and be like, "Hey, how are you doing? Are you okay?"
But you know what bothers me? Not necessarily about that. I think that's great. But why is it when a man gets killed, we have to have somebody in a way like prove that his life was worth living, that he didn't deserve to die? Like why do we have to have that? You know what I'm saying? Why is it we see 3 guys, 1 in a car, 2 in a pickup truck, kill a guy, and we literally have to spend time explaining to people, hey, this guy didn't deserve to be killed like this.
This is for white people or black people or Latinos or Asians or anybody, right?
Right.
Like, why do we victim blame here? Why are we telling?
Like, how do you watch this video? I don't care what the guy was doing. How do you watch this video and see two guys jump out of a truck and kill a guy in cold blood? They murder him right there in the video. How do you see that and go, well, he must have had it coming? Convince me he didn't. You understand? Like how is that your mindset? How? I don't. There's something got to be wrong with you when that's the way you think.
And then you come up with well, he shouldn't have been there.
He's allowed to.
If anybody shouldn't have been there, the people with the guns shouldn't have been there, right?
Right.
Like we know that they went home.
They went home, got guns,
and came back out.
Right, and went looking for him.
It wasn't like they were driving around the street, saw him over there, walking around the construction site.
Right.
Happened to have guns in their car, tried to stop him. No, they took the time to go
home and get weapons.
This is thought out, right? Like you.
If it's three of you and you're trying to detain a person, why do you need guns?
Right.
Why do you have to go home and get guns and then come back?
Why can't you dial 911?
Exactly. If it's that serious and you think this guy's committing a crime, why don't you pull out your cell phone instead of recording? Why don't you pull out your cell phone and start calling somebody? 911.
How many times have either one of you guys ever just been so mad at somebody, right? And you want to hit them or you want to lash out, but you got to go, you got to walk to the house. Even for my kids, like when I want to whip my kids, right? I got to walk to get the belt, right?
Yeah.
But somewhere in that 30 seconds that I leave there to go walk to get that belt, common sense kicks in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, you're overreacting. Let's calm down here. Take a deep breath. Be mad, but don't be stupid.
Right.
Like, I don't know how long it took them to go home, get guns, and come back out. But at some point, common sense has to kick in there, right? Be like, are we doing the right thing? Or maybe we're going too extreme on this. Maybe we should just call the police.
Nah.
You know what? Maybe we don't need guns to detain these guys. This is some big dudes, by the way.
Yeah.
He's like, Ahmaud Arbery is a little skinny dude. Right. And these are some big dudes.
At least the two guys in the truck you can see are clearly bigger than him.
Yeah.
You know? So, and this is the thing that you see this all the time, over and over again, and we constantly have to defend this person who got killed when it's obvious that the people who killed him are the ones that are in the wrong. And then you find out all this information, and then you go back and you remember, wow, for 2 months, the district attorney in this place had this actual videotape and did nothing.
Not only they did something, nothing. They justified it.
Yeah.
They wrote a report that justified that that it was a justifiable shooting. He attacked them. He went after their gun. He attacked them. It was justifiable per Georgia statute, blah, 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 blah.
And so here's another legal fact. And I don't know if it's every state, but I know most states have some sort of cool down period law when you go buy a gun.
Right.
So some states it's 24 hours, some it's 30 days, some it's 72 hours. Yeah. And what that means is if you don't already own a gun, like I know, so for here in Nevada, if you don't own a gun already.
It's 3 days, right?
I believe it's 3 days.
3 days.
It's either 24 hours or 72. If you don't own a gun whatsoever and you walk into a gun store and you say, hey, I want to buy a gun, you can pick it out, you can pay for it, but you can't leave with it until either 24 or 72 hours after the time you make the payment.
For the first gun. After once you have your license.
Once you have guns, there's no cool down period because the reason is if you're buying this gun to kill somebody,
you already have a gun.
The cool down period is to get you to stop and think about this, right? Don't go do this, right?
Am I buying this gun? Like it's the common sense moment, right? Like,
right.
You have 72 hours to come to your senses and make sure that you're doing the right thing.
Right. And if you still buy this gun, now you're just cold-blooded committing murder, right? And so that's the reason those laws are in effect. These guys have guns at home. I don't know if they had to drive 10 minutes or a half hour to go get their guns and come back. But when you leave to go get your gun, like that alone should make this first-degree murder.
Oh, no, it's premeditated, 100%,
right?
At
that point, it's got to be premeditated. What else did you go get a gun for?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because anything else you want to do, you can do while you're in your truck for a guy that's running who has no weapons.
Yeah.
You can pull up on the side of the truck. What are you doing over there? We're calling the police. Stay here. Don't leave. You stand right here. I'm making a citizen's arrest.
Right.
And if he takes off running, you could follow him in your truck while you're calling the police. It's so many ways around this that this didn't have to end in the loss of somebody's life. And at this point, it's just getting ridiculous. I think, like, I really feel like I should just slap people when they try to justify people being killed like this. When they try to make me come up with
take
some
a 30-second
reason.
cool down period though.
Yeah, I don't know. If a slap. Yeah.
I want to make this for me. If this was two black guys who did this to a white guy, I would feel the same thing, that this was murder, like that this is first degree murder. Like,
right.
I don't know if the racial element would be to it like this one is.
Right.
But I would surely be like, no, that's you. You had way too much time to come to your sentences here. You went home, you got a gun, and you decided to go out and shoot somebody. That's first degree murder in my mind.
For anybody, if you go home, get a gun, and come back, you had time to think about it, and you should have stayed home when you got home.
So, good news about Brunswick, Georgia, is that I'm actually curious. I'm assuming the state police are the police now, because everybody in the police department and the DA is under investigation.
Good.
So the FBI, between the state and the FBI, they're all being investigated. I gotta believe that while this investigation is going on, they can't do their jobs, right? They have to be suspended.
They shouldn't be able to.
Yeah. So I guess I gotta, like, maybe they're finding people from other jurisdictions to come over and like take care of this. But it's like 14 people that are being investigated now by the FBI and the state of Georgia over this.
Good.
We'll keep up on this story. We'll talk about it later. But I got to tell this dude, like, you have no reason to cry. Like, you don't understand why you killed somebody and you're worried about people making death threats to you. Or, excuse me, you were an accomplice, allegedly an accomplice to a murder, and you're worried about somebody killing you.
You're an accessory to this crime, bro.
I'm tired of having you use the word allegedly now when we have videotape.
Yeah.
Legally, we have to say that in case they were not found not guilty. They could sue you. But when there's videotape, I guess it doesn't matter. We've seen cops shoot people on videotape and then shoot them in the back in South Carolina and then go free.
There was this guy named Rodney King, and he got beat by cops, and it was all caught on video. I mean, it's obvious. It's the same thing. There's no way you could look at this and think, oh, well, he must have did something to deserve that. Like, it just, the beating goes too far. And this happened
95, I think. Well, the verdict was 95.
25
94.
years. So
what's that?
Happened in 90.
Yeah. The verdict was 95.
25, 26 years ago. And guess what? Those cops never saw a day in jail.
No. Well,
this was probably
they were found guilty of the federal charges of violating its civil rights. I don't know if they went to jail for that.
Right.
But once they were found not guilty, the federal government stepped in and prosecuted them for violating his civil rights.
Right. I know he won a civil trial.
Right.
I know that.
But I think they did time for the civil rights violation.
They did time for that.
I think.
I don't think they did.
They didn't do time for that? I know they were found guilty of that. Maybe they didn't do time, but I know they were found guilty.
So much later than
it was like 97.
Yeah. I know that they had to pay for monetary damages. So like Rodney King got paid basically, but there was no actual justice like for their actual crimes. And this was I remember this because this was like the first time that we as in black people, caught white police officers on videotape beating a black person. And the significance...
And his crime was speeding, right? That's what it was
something like that.
It was like 25 years ago. I believe he was speeding.
And it was something...
I think it was something about DWB.
Yeah.
Like
driving while black.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, 25 years ago, we finally caught him on tape. Like, we caught him, right?
Right.
Forever we've been saying the police treat us wrong. Oh, no, they don't.
NWA
right?
told you that the police treated you
right. You know what I mean?
Ice-T told you the police treated you wrong. Every movie you've ever seen told you that the police treated you wrong.
And we finally caught him on video, and still there was no justice. And so that always sticks in the back of my mind when we have these videos of other people like killing someone. Because even like they always say, like, well, if you kill him, he can't defend himself because dead men tell no tales, right? So if somebody attacks you and you kill that person, then it's your word against the dead body, which means whatever story you tell is the story that the police or whoever will believe.
I know you guys remember Cops, right? The
Yeah.
TV show?
Yeah.
We used to think Cops was a cool show.
Right.
Like, I've been watching some reruns lately. Like, I don't know how they got away with the stuff they got away with. Like, you see them grabbing people out of cars and just body slamming them. I'm like, the dude was going 45 and a 20, dude. Like, is this necessary? Like,
because the people who that show entertains are not the people who've been pulled out of their car,
right,
just because they said, "Why did you pull me over, officer?"
And we've talked about this before. It's not this is not a black thing, and I get tired of people associating this with a black thing. It was a poor thing. Like, never in Cops did you ever see a wealthy person get pulled over.
And the creator of Cops actually answered that, and he said, because in essence he didn't use the word poor people, so I'm not giving an exact quote, but he said, look, poor people make great TV.
Right.
If we could find a way to get cops to go into some of these like high-rise office buildings with these multimillionaire guys, and when the cops show up, they flip over a table, throw their phone at them, and then they chase them through the whole building, then we would definitely film that. But in these communities, that's what makes better TV.
Right.
You're mostly pulling over crackheads on drugs.
Right.
So
you know what I mean?
They're going to do something that is sad when you really see it, but it's funny for TV.
Right. And it's crazy because, like, I got to believe, like, we all know they edit everything, right? Like, so they probably pulled over a week 30, 40, 50 people to get that one person. Like, they don't show the other 40 people that complied with the law and took their ticket, apologized, sorry, officer. They wait for 40 a week or whatever to get that one person who acted an ass, and now it's like, oh, well, that's how people act. No, it's not. Like,
but I always said it has to be scary getting pulled over and seeing like the cops film crew out there, because I'm being pulled over for entertainment.
Right.
So they're gonna do anything to make me flip out right now.
Right.
I'd be scared to death if I got pulled over by a film crew.
I was
because they want you to mess up right now.
I was watching an episode, and this was a white girl, so it's white girl, white cop, and he pulled her over because the license plate came back stolen. And this girl's like, I did not steal the car. This is my roommate's car. I did not steal this car. And he's like, nope, your roommate said this car is stolen. She's like, nope, I borrowed the car. She told me I could go to my mother's house. Because it was in a town like 30 miles away or whatever.
Yeah.
She's like, I've been at my mom's house for the last 2 days. I've had the car. She's like, I'm going to the store right now to get some stuff from my mom. My roommate told me I could use this car. He's like, no, she didn't. Like, he's not even listening to her. Yeah. He's just like, you're lying. Nope, no, she isn't. Yeah. Nope, that didn't happen. She's like, no. And like, the girl is crying. Like, I actually believe the girl watching her. Like, you just, you see people and you get a sense that they're telling the truth, right?
Right.
And I'm like, she's not. To me, I'm like, she's not lying. Like, maybe her and the roommate got into some type of like argument or something after this.
Yeah.
And the room, because
But at the same time, when a cop does that and they hear a certain story, they're trying to break you down to see if you are lying or not.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of the time. So there's, so I understand to a certain extent. But then after a while,
right,
you do have to believe the person. But that also goes to show, don't borrow someone's car, even if they say yes.
Right.
If they do get mad, they could say it's stolen.
Right.
You got a shout out to Eric Ward. He's checking us out in the chat today. The producers of Cops say they need people with their shirts off. That's 100%. I feel like it's crazy because like I watch this stuff now and I'm like, there's just no way this show could ever be on TV today.
Nah, man.
Because people would go crazy over the police violence.
Right.
And I watch these cops and they just know they're right. Like you can't tell them anything different, right?
Yeah. There's a story that I shared it on Facebook, and there's a guy who I believe he's like a professor at a college, or he's some sort of teacher or instructor, and he's on his lunch break.
Oh,
he's going to get a hot dog or something, right?
Yeah. A burrito.
And he's going to get a burrito, and he says he parks his car at the place, he's walking to it, and a cop runs up on him, and he's like, "Hey guy, hey buddy, give me a minute." And when he turns around, he sees a cop, taking the safety belt off his gun, basically, the latch or whatever. And he's got his hand on his gun, and he freezes up and he hands up like, "What's going on? What do you need?" And in short, the cop is like, "You fit the description of a guy who just broke into somebody's house." And
this is on our Negro Please Facebook page.
Yeah,
this story is. If you want to just go through it, it's a couple days. I'll just scroll down a few. You'll see the story.
Yeah, and it's in pretty good detail of what happens. Right. But in short, this man is detained. They ask him like the same questions repeatedly over and over again.
But different cops show up.
And different cops
show up.
Like one cop shows up, the first cop stops him, and then some more cops come up, and then finally like a detective or a supervisor comes up, and they're all just asking him all these questions. Most of them are repeatedly the same questions over and over again. Then they go and get the person who would call the police to like verify that it's him or not him or whatever.
Right.
And in all of this, he's just constantly being told like, hey man, look, you just fit the description, right? And I feel like as a black person, that situation has definitely happened to me. I know a ton of people that's happened to, or something even worse.
Dude, I got pulled over one time by like literally 14 or 15 police officers, guns blaring. My little sister was like, God, she's probably like 12, 13 years old at the time. Yeah, maybe 15. And she's in the back seat because my car fit the description.
Right.
Dude, I drove a Oldsmobile Cutlass. You know how many people drove Oldsmobile Cutlasses?
Right. And
so in the 90s?
And this is what I'm saying. Like, this guy is, in a sense, he's kind of traumatized because he's scared.
Right.
Terrified, because all these cops doesn't know what's going to happen. And then
doesn't want to put his hands in his pocket.
Right. Yeah. He has not done anything wrong, yet he cannot leave until somebody comes to verify that he's not a criminal.
And then there were some very interesting points in the story he made, that he was wearing a hat that was crocheted by a friend of his.
Yeah.
And the cop was like, your hat is what matches the description.
Yeah.
Right. Like, this is the only one in the world. Like his friend made it for him. And then he's a professor.
Right.
He's a college professor.
Right.
He's just minding his own business. And it's crazy because he just talks about, there was a lady at the bus stop watching this go on, and there was another older white lady that came by. The lady at the bus stop was black, and she was just sitting there watching. And the white lady came by, and he said, and asked the police officers, "What, y'all don't have nothing better to do today?"
Yeah.
And then he was talking about, in his mind, he was just begging that woman the lady at the bus stop to not leave.
Yeah.
Because he wanted somebody to see what was going on in case something happened. Like, he was just. And then he talks, it's really an emotional story. And he talks about when he's leaving and she stops and asks him if he's okay. Yeah. And he's like physically shaking. And he's like, no, but thank you for being witness to what's going on.
And I think that's a huge thing that only certain people understand. To a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, the police just stopped them. They were just doing their jobs. But no, like, there comes a point where this is beyond doing your job. You know what I mean? This is beyond that. When you're detained for something you didn't do, it's traumatizing. And in the end, like, this is the part of the story that bothered me the most. At the end, the like lead detective or whoever the head guy, supervisor, whatever that came out, what he told him was, "Thank you for your cooperation. Sorry for the inconvenience."
Yeah.
Like, that's literally all you get for your time wasted, for being traumatized, for being in fear. I mean, I feel like if this was like a white kid or a white guy that was like 25, 30 years old, and he has a similar experience when the cops pull up like, hey, you fit the description, it's nowhere near as traumatizing, simply because there haven't been as many visuals, whether it be the media, through movies, through TV, through newspapers, through however you get your media from, of police killing white people. So as a black person, whether this is your first incident or your 50th, it's just as traumatic, because it's like, man, and it's just sitting in your mind like, so I might not make it home today.
I'm mixed. I'm black and white.
Right.
My daughter's mother is Latino and white. My daughter, she looks like she's a white girl.
Mm-hmm.
She called me the other day, and she's like, Dad, I just had my first experience of being harassed by police just because you're black. And I was like, what are you talking about? So she's at home in Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. She's actually at a park, her and her friend, a male friend. He's black. The park closes at 10 o'clock. She says it's not. She's adamant that it's 9:43. They go back to the car. They're sitting in the car. They're listening to a song or whatever. There's another car like 2 spaces over from them with 3 white guys. She's like, the windows are smoked out. 100% these guys are smoking weed. She's like, she said a cop rolls up, pulls behind her, mm-hmm. Then 2 more cops come up and box her in. So they're on each side of her and behind her. The cop walks over to the car with the guy smoking weed. She's like, when they roll down the window, you could just smell. And Minnesota's not a legal state for not right now. They're trying to get it passed, but right now Minnesota's not a legal state. I think you are allowed to carry a certain amount on you, but you're not allowed to smoke.
Yeah.
It's been decriminalized. So she's like, they just tell those other guys to get out of the park. Now they come to her. My daughter is the driver of the vehicle. Her friend is in the passenger seat. And they don't ask my daughter anything. Right. They come to the passenger side and ask him for his ID. And this is where I wish my daughter would shut up sometimes because I feel like she's going to get herself in trouble. She says she just snapped. She was like, this is because he's black, right? She was like, I'm the driver.
Yeah.
Like, if you're pulling, I'm the one you should be asking for the ID.
Right.
But no, you don't say anything to me. You go to the black guy. Right. You take him out of the car. You pat him down. You see if he has any drugs. But these 3 guys that were over here in this other car, clearly smoking weed. Yeah, like she was like, it stank so bad. Like when they rolled down the window, like she said, I just kept going off because this isn't fair that he had to go through this. And she was like, then the cop threatened to arrest me. And I was like, well, F you then, arrest me. Because what are you going to arrest me for? Like, and I'm like, I tell her, I mean, all the time, you just got to learn how to shut up sometimes. But she's not going to do that ever. But she's like, well, arrest me then. What are you going to arrest me for? Being white with a black guy? Like, you know, like she was like, and she's like, we weren't doing anything wrong. So they had no reason to arrest him. They had no reason to stop and check to see if he had warrants or anything else. Mm-hmm. And eventually they just let him go. But she was like, these guys were smoking weed. Like it's against the law to smoke weed.
Yeah.
We're listening to a song, like they're getting ready to leave, but they're bouncing and singing a song or whatever.
Right.
And they stop him. She's like, for what? He's in the passenger seat. If like I'm the driver, if you think like he can be high or be drunk.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like so I had to have a talk with her about just learning to shut her mouth, but she's right. She's 100% right in the situation though, right? Like they were minding their own business. And then they were like, well, the park closes. She's like, no, it's 9:43. The park closes at 10 o'clock.
Yeah. And this is the thing, when you tell people these stories, they're just like, well, be happy you didn't get arrested, or be happy you didn't get shot, or be happy with this and this. Like, can we move past that? Can we get to the point where
be happy I'm alive for minding my own business?
Yeah, be happy that I just didn't get killed today. Like, I mean, I feel like, you know how when something bad happens and people go, well, just be thankful, there's a guy over there in a wheelchair, right? And then if you're in a wheelchair, they're like, oh, be thankful at least, you got your arms,
right.
And then
why do we have to compare? Like,
exactly. Like why can't I want the best for my life?
Right.
Why can't I just like here's the thing. Why can't I just exist peacefully and not be bothered? You know what I mean?
I'm on Facebook. I'm in this group that's like, it's called like Random Vegas or something like that. And people will post pictures of something in Vegas. And there's a guy like on one of these, like, I don't know. I know they exist here in Vegas. I've never seen them anywhere else I've been. But they're these like weird, like moped, motorcycle, scooter things.
Yeah.
And somebody posts a picture like, somebody explain this to me. Like the guy's riding down the street. And like 90% of the posts were like, I'm going to explain that you need to mind your business. Let that man be like, why are you like, let that man be happy. He's riding his bike. Like,
right.
They're like, maybe he wants to buy a motorcycle. And he bought this, or rented this to see if he can, how it works. Just mind your own damn business. There's no explanation needed.
I mean, and that's the thing of just let people be. Like, I think, and I very rarely try to speak on behalf of all black people, but I think for the most part, that's what we want, is for y'all to just stop messing with us for no reason. I mean, goodness, look, if I see somebody breaking into a car, right? They have like a wire hanger and they're literally trying to get the door unlocked.
You don't assume that they're stealing a car?
I stop and think about it. My first thought is maybe they locked their keys in the car.
Right.
And then I'm thinking, well, it's broad daylight. Are they still in this car? You know what I mean? Like,
is this guy in the middle of Walmart parking lot,
right,
at 2:00 in the afternoon with 5,000 cars around here trying to break into this car with all these witnesses?
And then, but here's what happens, and it doesn't matter unless somebody is physically being hurt. Usually, I come to the conclusion of this ain't my business, and I ain't got time for it. And you know what I mean? Like at some point, I'm always like, if I call the police, then I got to stay here, or they're going to be calling me back all day. because I saw a car accident one time, right? And I was at a stoplight. Car pulls up next to me at the stoplight, and then that car gets rear-ended. And I look over, and I was like, wow, they just got blasted. But the driver opens the door and gets out, you know? Right. So they're alive, right? But I still call 911. I'm like, hey, I just saw a car accident. It was at these 2 cross streets. Driver looked okay. He did get out of the car. This all happened in like 10, 15 seconds, but I didn't see the car that actually hit them. I didn't see that driver get out or anything. So just letting you guys know there was a car accident, right? I got called back by 911 like 15 times. And then over the next 2 hours. And they just kept asking me, okay, what happened? And where were you at? And what was this? And this and that. And then the calls kind of go off to like, okay, we sent police and there was no one there. And I was just like, oh my gosh, why did I even call 911? Like, it was so annoying for me just the rest of the night. They just kept on calling me back, you know, asking me more questions and stuff, right? And so since then, I'm kind of like, you know what? If I don't see like blood or somebody looks like they're dying or hurt, I'm not getting involved. You know what I mean? Clearly,
you can refuse 911 you could refuse to give them your number though.
No, I don't know if I even I don't even
they ask for your number.
This was maybe like,
because I do that. I call 911 all the time when I'm out there doing Lyft and I see someone like beating up their girl on the sidewalk. Like, I call 911 all the time. They always ask, "Do you have a callback number? We can call you back to get more information." If I say no, they can't call you back.
This was years ago, and I don't call them enough to even realize that. I probably did give them my number, but I didn't. If I knew they were going to be calling me like that, I probably would have been like, nah, I ain't giving you my number.
All right, guys, please, again, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. That's the one. The Negro Please. Can we play that video? All right, so let me set it up. There's a guy by the name of Archie Williams that was on America's Got Talent this week. Like, I'm a grown man, and this dude brought me to tears. And you're going to we'll play the video, and you'll see what happened.
My name is Archie Williams.
Right, let's get to know you first of all, Archie, a little bit.
Okay. I was just incarcerated for 37 years for somebody else's crime.
Ooh.
DNA freed me.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
On the morning of December the 9th of 1982, a 30-year-old white woman was raped and stabbed in her home. I was arrested on January the 4th. I couldn't believe it was really happening. I knew I was innocent. I didn't commit a crime. But being a poor black kid, I didn't have the economic ability to fight the state of Louisiana. I was sentenced to life in 80 years without the possibility of parole or probation. When you're faced with dark times, what I would do is I would pray and sing. This is how I got peace. I can't lie. No more of your darkness. All my pictures seem to fade to black and white. I'm going tired, and time stands still before me. Frozen here on the ladders of my life. Don't let the sun go down on me. Although I search myself, there's always someone else I see. I'm just another fraction of your life to wander free. But losing everything is like the sun going down on me.
37 years in prison.
Wow.
And those of you who don't know, the song is The Sun Going Down on Me by Elton John. So actually one of my favorite songs. And I think it's so telling, right? Because Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, 37 years. This dude is a much stronger person than I am because he never gave up. I don't, at some point, like you're 37 years in, like you just 20 years in, 10 years in, you just become complacent with the fact that I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. But he didn't do that. And he talked, and there's a longer video you can find on YouTube or anywhere, just Archie Williams, AGT, where he talks about he would sit in prison and watch shows like America's Got Talent. And was like, man, I would love to be on that show and see if I could sing as well as these guys do. And so like when he got out of prison, he just kind of made this his goal. Like this is his Super Bowl of life right now.
Yeah.
37 years in prison for a crime he did not commit.
I mean, dude, I don't know, man. I can't. The sad part is this story is way more common than it ever should be.
Especially in Louisiana. Louisiana has a really bad history of this. And Louisiana is a state that like people are suing now the state because they don't compensate people who are wrongly convicted of crimes.
Yeah. And that's the even worse part is you lose. I mean, I feel like there's no amount of money that can give you back that experience of life that you lost.
I'm 47 years old. That dude was in prison for 75% of my life.
He went to prison when I was 3 years. If he just got out this
year. He got out in 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
So, 37 years. I'm 40.
Yeah.
So
you were think about that.
3 years old.
Think of all of your life, the experiences you've had in the last 37 years.
Right.
Birthdays, holidays,
everything.
Dates, having your children. Your entire life is gone.
Right.
Because
no freedom.
No freedom.
For something you did not do.
Did not do.
And especially now with all the technology that we have.
Well, that's how he got freed, was because the Innocence Project was finally able to take on his case.
Yeah.
And they found DNA evidence that said that he wasn't there. In the longer version of the video, it talks about he had 3 witnesses that said he wasn't there.
Yeah.
He had an alibi. Like he wasn't there because he was with us and we were over here.
Think about people like him, like
37 years.
Hurricane, Reuben Carter. Hurricane Carter, the boxer.
Yep.
They made a movie about him, where just it's not even a wrong place, wrong time. It's just the cops show up, it's like, we pick you.
Yep.
And now you get to prove you didn't do it. And if you can't, you're going to jail. And that's a huge problem with our justice system where you're supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, but it's the exact opposite.
Right.
You can be inconvenienced. And inconvenience is like the lightest word I can use here, but you can be inconvenienced and then basically like now your whole life is disrupted and you have to prove that you didn't do something. This having 3 witnesses, and sometimes even like video just doesn't even help you. You know what I mean?
The video's too grainy. We couldn't tell that was you.
Right. And then,
but you used the too grainy video to convict me.
Right. Yeah. You see? And so it's crazy. It reminds me, the Aaron Hernandez documentary, right? And they show the video of Aaron getting the gun out the closet, and he turns, and you can clearly see it's a pistol, right?
Right.
And they ask his girlfriend or his wife, they're like, or his girlfriend, they're like, what is that in his hand? And she's like, I can't tell.
I can't tell.
The entire world can tell that's a gun. And you're like, but the exact opposite is usually like what happens.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like you could tell it was a black guy. He had on a white T-shirt and he was 6 foot tall. I mean, that fits like 80% of the black population probably. You know what I mean? Roughly 6 foot tall. I mean, if you go to a place like Scandinavia, you know what I mean, or Switzerland, and you say, oh, yeah, it was a white guy, and he was 6'3" with blonde hair. It's like, dude, you just described pretty much everybody here.
80% of the country.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's and we have to stop sending people to prison off of these sketchy things.
Yeah.
Just so police can close a case, which is beyond ridiculous.
There's a case I saw on either 2020 or Dateline, one of those shows. There was a case of a woman being killed in North Carolina on a military base. Or no, her husband was in the military. They lived off base.
Yeah.
There are 7 guys in prison for the same crime.
Yeah.
And none of them did it. There's another guy who went to prison and finally came out and laughed about it because he's like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life because I'm the one who killed her. None of these other guys, there was no DNA for these. They couldn't get the DNA to match these other 7 guys. They couldn't get the footprints to match or any of this other stuff. But there's video of these cops violating these 7 guys' rights. Like, they won't give them water. They won't give them food. They're asking for lawyers and they're not getting lawyers. And they're all this stuff until they just basically break these guys down for 14, 15 hours till they just write the confession to get out of there.
It's the same thing they did.
But it's the same cops. Like, they know it was a 1-person murder, but as soon as they get this guy, then they go and find another guy and get him for the same murder. Then now there's a guy in prison who tells them, he writes out the whole statement. I did this. I walked. This is how I got into the house, and this is this.
Yeah.
He's the guy who did it. He's not even being charged for the crime now, but there are 7 guys who can't get out of prison, even though he's confessing to the crime and knows all the details, and it's his DNA that was at the scene.
Same thing happened with the Central Park 5.
Yes.
Where the police just basically manipulated these kids until they admitted to doing something. And that's the thing, like, police might have a hunch and they might have something that leads you to the general area. But once they decide that, hey, you know what, I think this is the guy that did it, they start doing these mind games. Right? And it's like, you know what, we're going to hold you overnight, or you're going to be charged with this and that, right? If you have an accomplice, one of the common things that they do, they'll take you and your friend into different rooms and they'll say, yeah, your buddy just snitched on you. He said this. And if you don't help me out so I can help you out, you about to go to jail for this murder. Well, if I'm in a room and it's just this cop who I think is telling me the truth, and he just tells me that my friend just said that is basically being a witness saying that I killed somebody and I'm going to go to jail for the rest of my life, I'm going to start saying anything to not go to jail for a crime I didn't commit. You know what I mean? Or saying anything so that this cop can help me get home because he keeps telling me he's going to help me, which he's not. He's helping himself close the case.
As my brother will tell you, cops are not your friend. They're not there to help you. They're not there to be your friend. Your lawyer's your friend. Shut up and ask for a lawyer and then don't say anything else.
Here's the best advice I got, and it was actually from a cop. And he said, if the police ever come to get you from somewhere, he said, the first question you ask is, am I under arrest?
Right.
And if they say no, then say, I'm sorry, no, I'm not going with you.
Right.
And you leave because you have the right to do that. Now, if they come to get you and they say you are under arrest, do not talk to them at all. Ask them to talk to your lawyer. Right. Do not speak to the police without a lawyer, whether you did it or did not do it, or you have no idea what they're even talking about.
And this is not a black thing. I don't care if you're white, black, yellow, male, female. I want a lawyer.
Yeah.
That's it. You do not have to. It is not in your best interest to help them out. And like they're going to tell you it's in your best interest to help them out because they can help you if you help them. Nah. We've seen this on TV. It's not in your best interest. They're going to help
you get 25 to life.
Right.
And here's the thing. Even if you're witnessing a crime, say you witness a murder. You walked outside and your 2 neighbors were out there fighting and they shot each other. One of them shot the other one cold blood, dead right in front of you. Go back in the house. Call 911 and then call your lawyer. Because you don't want that situation to get manipulated into your neighbor who killed somebody to try to say, that's what he did across the street. He talked me into it.
That's what happened with this McMichael murder, right? That somebody else got the videotape and was like, whoa, called his lawyer and was like, hey,
exactly.
I got this. I didn't have nothing to do with this. Like, I'm not getting pinned up in here with this. How do I do this? One more thing before we get out of here, because I just love the pettiness. And Russell Wilson is becoming my new favorite person, man. First of all, did you watch the golf match yesterday? The Tiger Woods and Peyton Manning versus Phil Mickelson and Tom Brady. I watched the highlights on ESPN. I didn't watch the whole thing. But Russell Wilson, on a par 3, if they could get the ball within 12 foot of the hole, he said he would donate 100,000 meals to an organization for each person that did it. Tiger didn't do it, but the other 3 guys did. So he donated 300,000 meals for this organization to feed hungry people. So I got mad props for Russell Wilson for that. A while back, we talked about Russell Wilson. He's married to Ciara. Ciara has a child with Future. Future doesn't pay his child support, and Russell Wilson was like, I don't care. He was like, I don't need your money. Keep your little peddly money. We'll get to
it. Yeah. We don't need his petty coins.
We don't need his petty coins. That's what he said. We don't need his petty coins. Russell, I love this dude now. Future has other baby mamas.
Right.
Russell Wilson wouldn't set up scholarship funds for all of Future's other kids.
I'm trying to hold this in.
He gave him $10,000 a piece at a college fund. Future's got to be worth a few $1 million, right?
Yeah, he's not broke. He's got some hits.
Right.
I mean, the dude's got like,
and he's married
somewhere between 6 to 10 kids. I don't know. He's got a bunch of kids. I mean, this is.
Hey, you know what? Not only do I not need you to take care of your child that lives with me, I got this because I don't need your pity coins. But I'm gonna take care of your other kids too, because obviously you got some issues and you can't do that.
I feel like there's a universe where Russell Wilson and Future have a great relationship, and Russell Wilson does this because he loves Future and he wants him to be happy, so he wants his kids to be happy, and that's why he does it. However, this ain't that universe, and I don't think that's why he did this. I feel like this is a super petty, I'm a better person than you, and I even want your kids to know it kind of move. I don't see he beats his kids to this. I mean, he beats Future to doing this for his own kids. I'm pretty sure one day these kids are going to look at Future and go, why didn't you do this? Why did our brother's dad have to do it?
Right.
Like, you know,
and here's
you
the thing.
money.
Here's the best thing though, right? Like if Future comes out and goes, well, I'll give him 20,000. Then his baby mamas will be like, well, how you got that money, but you ain't got child support?
Yeah, right, yeah.
This is like
this guy, man.
This is the greatest petty. Like he's becoming more petty than 50 Cent, but at least he's only petty towards Future. Like,
yeah.
I'm curious to like, does Future like fly in to pick up the kid and come to Russell's house? And Russell's like,
oh God.
And Russell be like, stand outside, bro. I'll get the kid.
I wonder what their interactions are like.
Right.
I would love to be a fly on that wall, man. Like, do they talk? Do they just threaten to square up with you? Like, is it just a man competition? You know what I mean?
They just stand there and look at each other.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. And Russell's like, yeah, you had her before, but I made her a queen. Like,
yeah.
Mad props to Russell Wilson.
Oh,
we'll be back next week, right? Yeah. Next week. Next Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Like always, I'm Dallas Scott, HllyWdHff, Quan the producer. This is Negro Please. Please make sure to check us out on all social media and subscribe to our YouTube page. See you guys next week.